Hi, welcome to Paint Coach. This is Chris Fornatero here to help simplify oil painting so you can get better faster. All right, today we're going to be doing an exercise where I'm going to be painting a portrait in only 45 minutes. Now, you don't have to do this exercise specifically with a portrait. You can do it with a still life, you can do it with landscape, do it with whatever you want. It's just a good way to loosen you up, if you're thinking you're getting too tight, too crisp, too in the lines, not organic with your painting, and you want to loosen up and have a little more expression in your painting, this is a good way to kind of break through that plateau. It's also a good way to figure out where your weaknesses are, because when you're on the clock like this, your weaknesses are going to show very, very clearly because you don't have time to finesse them like you would if you were just taking your time. For this portrait, I did 45 minutes. Looking back, I kind of wish I'd done it shorter, so that I would have been pushed to go even faster, because it was a lot of fun. You know, it's scary at first, and you think it's going to be uncomfortable, but once you get past the fact that this isn't gonna be your best work, like don't think of this as like a finished product. And also, saying that, don't say to yourself, "Oh, I'll do this for 25 minutes, 40 minutes, but after that, then I'm just gonna, keep painting and paint it how I want." Like, I wouldn't recommend that, because then in the back of your head that you are gonna finish it, and you're not gonna have that pressure to really move fast, because in the end later on I'll go back and I'll fix all this. But when you have that pressure of like, when that clock is done, like this is done, and you need that forced pressure to really push yourself to really move at a faster pace and really just be thinking instinctively. Because when you just are painting instinctively, you realize what your instincts are, and you realize what like what just can instinctively do, and that's obviously your strengths, and what you can instinctively do, which is your weaknesses, which you can then identify and work on. Right now I'm just painting with some cadmium red and paint thinner, just really sketching out uh, the just like the basic block in of the face. Looking back, I kind of wish I didn't do that. I don't think I needed to block it in this much. Even though, like, even towards the very end of the painting, I still am adjusting the shape of the face and all that stuff. But doing this was really, really fun. I'm starting with the darks here, and I do work dark to light, thin to thick, but you'll see like I move around a lot. Also, using a big brush, I really recommend using a big brush on this. I mean, you're just going to naturally want to use a big brush because you're going to have to be covering a lot of area really fast. In doing this, you also realize like what the important parts of a painting are, like what's more important to get right than others. I mean, yeah, we want to get everything right, but a lot of people kind of get bogged down in detail, and they see detail as the like benchmark of a good painting. If they see a good painting that has like a lot of detail in it, that's a really good painting. And detail's nice and it's hard in its own respect, but it's really not the most important thing, because the people that can portray a subject matter without the detail, in ways that's a lot harder, because you got to really nail your value, you got to really nail the color, your drawing and all that, because you're not relying on detail to translate what the subject is, and where it is and everything like that. And this exercise helps you out a lot with that, because you don't have time to get into the detail. You really got to nail everything, all the your fundamentals and your basics. You really have to nail right, because you're not going to have time to go in and put all those little details in. Even looking back on this, I could have been a lot more loose with everything, and really just really work big to small, like start really big. Like even here I'm putting in kind of shadows, and I'm changing up the colors within the face. I probably should just put like really like one solid color for the entire face, and then work from there. I've seen a lot of painters do that, and I've done it in the past, and it really takes like a certain discipline to just really keep things simple at the beginning, um, because it does help you. If you go into detail too soon, there's going to be certain aspects of your painting, like the basic fundamentals, that are just not going to work out. And you can fix them later on, but it's always a lot harder to fix them later on. It's also a lot harder to identify those problems after you've painted a lot of the painting, because they're hiding. It's these basic, flaws with the structure, whether it's your drawing or your values, and all your details look right. It's like, oh, the nose looks right, everything looks right, the eyes look right, everything's drawn well, but you messed up the values, or the basic structure of the face isn't quite right. So now you have to do certain tricks, whether it's like putting your painting upside down or looking at it in a mirror, to really see these flaws that you missed early on in the painting. I'm still using a really large brush here. You also see I will like use the negative space around the head to help shape it. Don't ever, forget about that. It's a very, useful tool to help shape whatever object. A lot of people, like when they're thinking of drawing their object, they're only thinking of the object, not the space around the object, which I don't advise doing, because you're just kind of cutting yourself off from using a very helpful tool, which is the negative space. Also, like, helps influence the colors that you're going to be using in your subject matter. Oh, and I also forgot, like, this is I'm doing a picture of Daniel Day-Lewis from There Will Be Blood. That's probably my favorite movie of all time, so just kind of pulled this to do a little exercise. Kind of going in with the more darks now. But also, it was fun to see what the end product looked like, and it was kind of cool to see like how much energy the painting had, how much life it had to it. And I definitely wasn't perfect at the end. Like, there was a lot that was wrong with it, but I really want to try and take a lot of that energy and keep it going into my other portraits that I do, work to completion on. And even, maybe in the beginning stages of other paintings, like, start them out this quick and this fast and instinctive, and try the best I can not to lose that, because it's very easy to keep working the painting, working the details, and you kind of lose that fun, energetic, instinctive brushwork, because you're just trying to get everything honed in exactly right and all the little details. It's kind of it's a little balance, and a lot of it's preference. Some people like really detailed portraits, some like them more loose. I tend to like them a lot more loose, just because I find it more difficult to do. Also, starting on a completely white canvas probably wasn't the best idea. It's always a lot harder to start on straight white, because it's the lightest on the value scale. You kind of want to tone your canvas like a neutral color. Makes it a lot easier judging values from the get-go, but you can still do it on a white canvas, just a little bit tougher and might take a little bit longer. A lot more adjusting. And doing this, your colors, aren't going to be 100% perfect. I was actually surprised at how close I actually did get my colors. I mean, my colors weren't perfect or close by any means, but it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. And that's kind of like a strength that I discovered, is I'm pretty decent with color, especially without ever having any like formal training in color. Like, I've never had anybody teach me in depth about color, or read any books on color, or any workshops or theories, or done any of those color wheels or mats or anything like that. I've just been using colors since I was really, really young, and just kind of developed an instinct for it. And I found that when I have tried to sit down and like understand it or like come up with a formula or rules or anything like that, it's really hurt me. um, I just work better instinctively. I don't really think when I'm mixing color. I'm just I just instinctively thinking more red. Oh, this needs more red. Or this needs more green or more blue. And I'm sure there's a lot more. I could improve my color if I did probably know certain things. I probably will learn at a certain point, but it's good to understand what you know instinctively, and just like it's good to be aware of your weaknesses to make them better. It's good to be aware of your strengths so you don't mess them up. You don't want to, because for a while, like I would try and mimic certain painting styles or painting steps or processes of painters that I like. Because I was like, oh, I want to paint like them. If I want to paint like them, then I need to paint in the same way, in the same order, and that's really not. I really like that's not a good idea. I mean, it's good to learn from people and take from people that are much better than you and learn from them and get their advice. But with painting, it's a weird thing because you gotta know what works best for you, but don't on the other hand, it's like you don't want to not grow because you're scared to try something different, and it's easy to be like, oh well, this is just how I do it, and I'm comfortable doing this way. Like, you don't want to get caught in that, but you also got to be aware of how you work best. That's why I see certain painters, and when I see them, and they're painting in the same kind of way that I do, and they're much better than me, I get really excited because like, oh, like I want to follow this person, like I want to learn from this person because the way they paint makes sense to me. They're there's still painters out there that I'm extremely impressed with, but just the way they go about doing it is just doesn't really make sense to me. Like just their style or their process, I just can't. Like, I've tried and it just never really works. But find somebody, you'll know when you see it, when you see someone painting that it's like, oh, like I understand, like that, like if I was going to paint that, I'd probably go about doing it the same way. When you find someone like that, like hang on to that and like really, learn from that person and, ask questions and just kind of, look at all their work and, really figure out, what, like how they go about doing it. If they have a workshop, take their workshop. If they have videos, watch their videos and stuff like that. That's what I've done. If you don't really have a process right now, then just kind of, look into everything. Like, I've bought in so many videos and, learned from so many different styles and different kinds of painters, and some worked and some didn't. And that's how you learn. Like, you can't be afraid to mess up or not do good work for a while. Like, that's gonna happen. Like, the way I always see it is, anytime you have a bad painting, don't get bummed out about that bad painting. Just realize that you had like, there was no way around it. You had to make that bad painting if you want to get to the good ones that are in your future. And I have more paintings that I've thrown away or just stuffed in a closet, than I have good paintings to actually show to people. So don't ever get discouraged about that. Like, really honor the effort. Like, the fact that you actually sat down and, broke out the paints and painted a picture to completion is definitely something to be proud of. And, just keep going. Don't worry about whether your painting turned out or not. The next one will turn out. I mean, if they all turned out good, then it wouldn't be fun. If every painting worked out great, then it would be really boring and you'd probably stop painting. All right. Now I'm kind of getting into more detail. I got like the basic shapes blocked out here. See, I got like the basic shape of the face. I got the light. Like the lower half of his face has more light than the like the eyes where it's shaded by the hat. Now this is like the biggest thing that I learned here was the eyes, because I have difficulty with eyes. Like, I always paint them last because I honestly just probably putting them off whenever I paint portraits. But for some reason, when I do eyes, I treat it, I subconsciously treat it differently than any other part of the portrait, which I shouldn't. I for some reason I I think that it's like a different, like I have to sit there and like draw out the eye instead of shape the eye from the objects, or from the shapes and what's around it and the colors and the values. Like when I draw a nose, like I'm not thinking like, oh, I got to draw this nose, draw this nostril. Like I'm just seeing the colors and the shapes and just blocking it in. With eyes, I've always struggled because I don't do it that way. But when I did this, it was the most effortless I've ever painted eyes before. And you can see right now, like they're so simple yet they work. It was because I was forced to, because I was like, I don't have time to sit here and draw an eye and where the pupil is and this and that. Like I really had to force myself just to see the shape, see the dark, see the light, and just make a couple quick marks. Now, are they perfect? No, but like this is like probably the biggest thing that I took away from here was how I painted in these eyes and was able to really simplify them, which I feel like I haven't been able to do in my portraits before, of really simplifying these eyes. Like that the eye on the left it looks like it's like three brush strokes. And I just really like that stuff. I mean, some people like getting really detailed with everything, but just when you're able to do something so simple like that, I just think it's great. And you see here, I reshaped the left side of his face. The right side is we're looking at it a few times. I had a lot of difficulty here. See, I'm kind of redrawing in the ear here, and then I have to draw in the hat behind it, and kind of took me some time to get that all accurate. But I feel like I did a pretty decent job by the end in terms of the structure of the face. Might have put the eyes a little high on the face. I'd have to probably measure it out and check it later, but it's just really fun painting this way. And at this point, I'm using pretty thick paint. So anytime I'm making a mark, I'm going over other paint, so I'm getting really thick here. And like I said, I do work dark to light, but that doesn't mean I don't ever go back. Like, see, I'm going back in with darks here and, just darkening up certain areas, like the hair underneath the hat. Also, brushwork, that's the thing it's gonna take time. It's a really hard thing to explain or teach, of kind of developing the brushwork. The best advice I ever got was from an instructor that described when he was painting. He's like, think about when you're painting, when you're putting the paint down, think of it as if you were like wrapping like paper mache like around the object in terms of like the direction of your brush strokes and everything like that. And that made sense to me. If you are like painting a mountain that's on a slant, like having the brush strokes kind of go in the same direction as the slant of the mountain is going to help just translate that mountain better. And with faces, it's the same thing. It's just a lot more subtle, and just the direction things are going. If you have cheeks that are curved, or a nose that straight, and just kind of the direction that you make your brush strokes. And a lot of that's just going to come with time and seeing other painters and kind of seeing how they handle their brushwork. I mean, there's many different types and styles and stuff, and you're gonna have to find your own. But doing an exercise like this, where you're just going completely instinctively, I think you'll surprise yourself with how interesting your brushwork is. And you can do this with any subject. If you're a beginner and you're just painting still lifes, or just painting like some fruit on a table, or just simple objects, you can do this as well. It's a really good, helpful tool. I mean, and you kind of do this, like if you were taking like a painting class, you do stuff like this all the time, because you'd have work that you work on for long periods of time, but anytime you do like figure painting, figure drawing, like a lot of times they have you do very quick, like 1 minute to 10 minute, 20 minute, sketches or paintings. I remember I did a lot of that. I've only taken one painting course my whole life when I was like 18 for a few months. It was like an introductory to oils at like an art center, and it was, it really like set a foundation of a lot of basics with painting with oils, and that was one of the things we did. We do like a lot of gesture drawings and really quick studies of things, which I thought was great and helped me a lot, and just kept things really simple at the beginning. I think that's the biggest thing with people starting out painting, is keep things simple. You see like a lot of these really good painters on YouTube, and they're demonstrating like very, very big projects, like very big paintings that one just take literally decades of practice just to get the skill set to complete it. And also like it takes time, a lot of time and money just to like paint something like that. If you're painting like a giant, very detailed landscape on like a 50 by 40 canvas, like it's probably not something you're gonna want to do if you're just starting out painting. I mean, if you want to, go for it. Anything you want to do, just do it. But I don't know, when I started out, like it just kept simple. I painted on a canvas pad, and every day coming to class, like you kind of just paint one painting a day. For a lot of times, we did do works that took over a long period of time, but keep things simple and just take it day by day, and that's how you get better. That's how you build momentum, and you have fun. Like if you're not having fun, something's wrong. Doesn't mean you shouldn't push yourself. It doesn't mean that you're gonna have bad days and have to work through stuff. But paint what you want to paint, and just the key is just paint as often as you can. Whatever you have to do to paint as often as possible, like that's how you're gonna get better. And the better you get, the more fun you're gonna have. Kind of nearing the end here in the last minute. So this is my 45-minute portrait challenge. I challenge you guys to do this with a portrait or anything else that you're working on. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Forza43. If there's any other like topics on oil painting you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments section. I'll make a video on that. I got working on getting a camera soon, so I'm gonna be doing more in-depth plein air painting videos. I've been going out a lot and working on some big canvases, so look forward to that. A lot of plein air videos out there. People use like these really small really small panels, and I want to work on something big, and show how I work like a big canvas. So look forward to that. I am Chris Fornatero here, telling you to go get painting.